100%. 100%. 100%. Yeah, that's always satisfying to see. The intermission screen. It's a screen you see quite often, so why not check out how it works under the hood? First, we need to understand how Doom differentiates the actual game, where you control the player, from things like intermission screens and text interludes. Doom can be split into 4 game states. GS level, this is where you run around, collect keys and shoot bad guys. Sounds familiar? GS intermission, just as the name implies, this state runs between levels. GS finale, this is the state that shows text screens and graphics between episodes, but is also used in Doom 2's cast sequence after beating the Icon of Sin. And last but not least, GS demo screen, only used to show the title screen and credits between demos before starting a new game. Anyway, let's limit the scope for now and check out how the intermission logic works. When you reach the exit, the game's state changes from level to intermission. A state change is indicated by the melting screen. Inside the intermission state, we've got a ticker and a drawer. The ticker runs logic 35 times a second, while the drawer renders stuff like text and backgrounds. The string of text representing the map's name is a graphic found in the WAD file. If you want your custom level to have the correct intermission name, you're going to have to create your own. Also inside the intermission screen are 3 substates: the stat counting state, the next location state, and the no state. When the intermission screen initializes, the substate will be set to the stat counting one. Inside the stat counting state, you won't believe it, is another state machine. This one, called SP state, is used to determine the next stat shown on the screen. Let's go through this long list of conditions. The SP state value is initially set to 1, so only this condition will apply. Here it tells the game to wait 35 ticks, or 1 second, before incrementing the SP state's value. So we wait a second and SP state will increment to 2. During SP state 2, it will draw the percentage of kills achieved in the level you've just played. It does so by multiplying the player's amount of kills by 100, then dividing it by the maximum amount of kills possible in the map. The percentage counter starts at 1%, then increments by 2% for each tick. For every 4 ticks, it will also play the pistol firing sound effect. It will stop incrementing when it reaches the destination value and then plays an explosion sound. Kaboom! The SP state will increment to 3 and pause for 1 second before incrementing it to 4. For SP state 4, it will do the exact same as with kills, but with items instead. Not all items will affect the item percentage, only the following items do: health bonuses, armor bonuses, berserk packs, supercharges, megaspheres, invulnerability spheres, partial invisibilities, computer area maps, and light amplification goggles. The SP state variable increments to 5, waits a second, increments to 6, and does the secrets. It will do the same thing as with kills and items. Jump to SP state 7, wait a second again, and run the 8th SP state, which displays the time spent on the level. In vanilla Doom, the level's par time is baked into the binary. For modern maps, you can edit these through either the hacked or the map info lump, or a variation thereof. Both your time and the par time will increment each tick by 3 seconds until both reach the destination value. Time is rounded down to the nearest second and will display sucks if it took you an hour or more to beat the level. Come on, step it up! The SP state value is set to 10. Then the next intermission state will run. But before we do that, let's quickly look at some oddities regarding the stats. The percentage is based on the values when the level is initialized. So if you kill enemies resurrected by archviles or spawns by the Icon of Sin, you can exceed 100% kills. Also, lost souls are programmed not to count as kills either, presumably because they have the tendency to no-clip through walls when pain elementals die. You can also exceed 100% secrets by doing some sector transferring magic. If a map contains no secret sectors whatsoever, then it's impossible to get 100% secrets, although most modern source ports fix that and still display 100%. There are also 2 separate stat counting states if you're playing co-op or deathmatch. In co-op, it will show each player's stats along with team kills, and deathmatch shows a matrix of who killed who, with your row and column displaying Doomguy's face. These also have their own state machines, but generally function the same as the single player one. You can also skip the entire stat counting animation. The intermission screen listens constantly for player input. If either the fire key or use key is pressed and the SP state is not 10, then it will, as the code calls it, accelerate the counting and pretty much calculate and draw all the necessary data using a single if block. The SP state will also be set to 10. So, that's how the stat counting works. To go to the next state, the player must either press the fire key or use key, while SP state is 10. The next state only exists in the first Doom. It is used to show the player's next location on the map along with the blood splats. In Doom 2 and Ultimate Doom's episode 4, it will jump to the next intermission state instead. In all Doom versions, it will show the map you're about to enter, accompanied by a weapon pickup sound. The way Doom 1's next location shenanigans is done is quite a mess to say the least. Locations for blood splats and the "you are here" pointer are all hard-coded coordinates in 3 separate arrays, one for each of the 3 original Doom 1 episodes. The position of each element represents the level it is used for. When entering, let's say, E1M7, it will do the following. Draw blood splats of the previous 6 levels. These are drawn even if you've warped to E1M6 using cheats. It also keeps track if you've done the secret level. If yes, then draw that blood splat as well. Then, for the map you're about to enter, draw a pointer. This one flashes using a timer that toggles the graphic. Since we are on the subject of locations, can we admire the drawings that were made for Doom 1's intermission screens? By the way, these widescreen edits were not originally made by it. They were made by Doom community member Scuba Steve. It's incredible how seamless the edits are, don't you think? Very impressive. Anyway, there's some technical stuff we can talk about the locations. Each episode, just like the Bloodsplat locations, has arrays filled with animation info. Each animation is actually a tiny graphic drawn over a static background image, and their position, animation type, animation speed is all defined in these arrays. The animations in episode 1's map all use the NM always animation type. These all start with a random offset, so they don't animate in sync each time. Same with episode 3's animations. Episode 2's intermission map has no animated graphics. At least, not constantly. Throughout the episode you can see a tower being built, however. This tower of course being the one that takes place in E2M8. This gradual construction uses the NM level animation type, but through a Mondo hack? Normally an anim level animation animates briefly when showing the next location and doesn't loop. This so-called Mondo hack enforces an animation frame to remain static depending on which map is next. Then there's also the Fortress of Mystery, the secret map of episode 2. The one that appears out of thin air after taking E2M5's secret exit. It actually has a brief fade-in animation too. Also done through a god-awful hack, the hack tells it to only appear when the next map is E2M9. There's one more animation type in the code, but it is never used. Anim random. This works similar to anim always, except it will pause for a random period of time before looping again. Anyway, that's the substate for showing the next location. After 4 seconds it will go to the next intermission state. The final state is called no state and doesn't do much. Surprise, surprise. It's a step to changing the game state back to GS level. It waits for 10 ticks and then does its thing. And that's how the intermission screen works. Nothing too complicated, but it's interesting to see how the guys at IT approach this little feature. Intermissions serve as a nice break between maps, but they can also provide a certain atmosphere unique to the map pack. Modern source ports can render unique intermission graphics per map. Some map packs utilize this to credit the map authors. Not everyone relies on those modern on-screen stats either. For some, the intermission screen is the only way to find out if they got 100% of the kills, items and secrets. Happy hunting! Thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed this video. Special thanks to the patrons and YouTube members for the support, and a shout out to the sexiest demon slayers out there: 19 Day, Andrew Dunai, Andrew Riss, Andrew Yukimchuk, Andri Diklin, Art Cox, Basil, Beaks Make Me Koom, Bitcore, Bouncy Bob, Brian Thompson, Bunderstorm, Kappa Bitch, Chief Kotrake, Choose Your Fights, Cyprian Drusen, Doc Cloaca, Doom64 Hunter, Francis T218, John Guy, Joseph Shantz, Katsuna Teku, Kirill Gorobets, Lars Soderberg, Matthew American, Matthias Sippert, Max Payne 67, Mr. Charon, Nako Ninja Core, Nighthawk 71, Pete Petersen, Pix Drift, Pyroshi, Quake Gamer 632, Raven King, Ryan Quinn, Riley, Robert Wakely, Salt Bad Guy, Sensodyne 93, Sonic Feet Pics compilation featuring Dirty Feet, Wet Feet, No Socks, Toenail Fungus, Space Duck, Specteer, Steak Jacobs, Stephen Bone, Stephen Halustik, Teko Kami, Thomas, Tim Gerasimov, Tim Goldberg, Timothy Collar, Turbine 2K5, Victor Rick, Hose Ace, and Zep Rousdower. Thank you all, see you in the next one.